Yeah, yeah, yeah. Asia bring the power, Jackie bring the fight. Chelsea got the sauce, Becky got the sight. Mark built a whole dynasty in these Vegas lights. Not a whole league trying to keep up every single night. Championships, records, the standard bearer. We welcome you all to the Aces era. Aces era. Aces era.
Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to the Aces Era podcast. I'm Kevin and that's CJ, and we're here to talk Aces basketball. The good, the bad, the petty, the messy, and the elite. If it has anything to do with the Las Vegas Aces, we're talking about it. CJ, we had just had 2 preseason games, and now we are here. The season's about to start. Good to see you, sir.
What's going on?
Man, oh man. It is time for the season. I've been waiting all season for this. We were looking at the CBA. We're trying to figure out if that was going to happen. Once that got going, we were finally off to the races, as you know, especially with the way everything was going in the off season and how quickly everything came together. But we're finally here.
It was funny because all offseason I kept saying I expect there to be a lockout. Not that I expected them to miss any games, but just on paper we were going to get a truncated offseason because they were going to be arguing about the CBA till the last minute, because everybody knows nobody talks about shit till the last minute, because nobody's going to make a deal until they're like, oh, this is actually going to cost us money. Time to make a deal. And then once the 11th hour hit and they were like, oh, this is actually going to cost us money. Remember all those deadlines that we imposed? Yeah, those weren't real deadlines. Let's just have a bunch of meetings and let's figure some stuff out. And then they figured it out. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we can do free agency in a week. Oh, we can do the draft in 2 days. Oh, we could do all of this and have training camp open in 2 weeks. Let's go.
The fact that all of that got done so quickly when no one thought it would, which was impressive, by the way. I am going to always be impressed by them getting that done.
They had way too much money to lose. They're I assumed they would have a lockout on paper, but at the end of the day, they were never going to miss games because the players and the league knew, with the way that the league is blowing up right now, there was no way they could leave. There was no way they could halt their momentum by missing 1 minute of game time.
Right.
They would have done irreversible harm.
And we saw it get done, luckily, with no issues.
Yeah.
And so with the season starting, they said, like you said, we can get everything done quick, fast, and in a hurry, and we did. Today we're going to be talking about the preseason games. We played Japan, and then we played the Wings tonight, because we're coming to you live on the 3rd. We played the Wings tonight. We then also had some takeaways from both games. You were in the building, though, for the Japan game.
Yeah, that was the first preseason game. We're both season ticket holders, so I went to the game, went to go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It was very much a preseason game. Wasn't super packed. Aces came out slow before they were like, oh yeah, we are better than Team Japan. And then played like it.
It's interesting. So in that game, excuse me, the Aces ended up winning 94-78. Was there any standout performances for you?
It was funny because Asia didn't play, which I think was more of a precautionary thing. And we haven't had Dana in the preseason because she's actually hurt. So for me, it was watching the Aces try to run a lot of pick and roll to Nalissa because they didn't have Asia and they were just trying to figure it out. And then watching Kennedy Carter try to do Kennedy Carter things.
That's right. This is kind of like your first Kennedy Carter experience.
Well, it's not my first experience. Like I've seen her play. It's the first time I've had her on my team, so I get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly instead of just watching her as, oh, she's on the other team, so I get to laugh. Now I'm like the, oh yeah, I get to enjoy it and also be frustrated by it.
She ended up with 18 points, 5 rebounds. She was 7 of 9 for the line. That's good.
It is good, but like I'm sitting there watching the game and like my wife made the perfect observation of like she didn't mean it in a bad way, but she was like she plays like a ball hog and I was like, yeah, her usage rate is sky high. Like if she gets the ball, it's going to be a shot, an assist, or a turnover is kind of what
Mm-hmm.
it felt like. And obviously Asia wasn't playing. And when she was playing, Chelsea wasn't on the floor a lot with her. Jackie wasn't on the floor a ton with her, it felt like. And Jewel isn't really ball dominant. So she was running the show, which when Dana comes back, who knows? Because I assume they're going to be occupying the same minutes. And who knows which one of them is
How
going to
that
have
breakdown's
those
going to
minutes.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was funny just watching her run the show that game, as opposed to the Dallas game today, which we will get into later, because she very much was like, "Oh, these Japan girls can't keep up with me. I am more athletic, and I'm the fastest person on the court. I'm going to go to the rim whenever I want."
And that's kind of like what she did from what I was seeing. She her 3-point game wasn't really there, as we talked about. It's not really her strong suit, shooting the three.
Yeah,
She was 1 for 4 from three, but she was able to finish at the rim, like you said, at will,
yeah.
which
She
is a
like,
plus.
what's the term? Quick as a hiccup. That's what she looked like that game. Nobody could
Yeah,
stay in front of her.
and one thing that's like interesting is that when we were talking about in our preview before, we were trying to figure out how she fits in. She ended up playing 20 minutes. We also tried to figure out how KB fits in. And KB played 26 minutes and had 14 points herself, shooting 3 of 8 from 3 and 5 of 10 from the field. How do you feel like, how did KB look in person?
It's funny because I looked at the box score after the game and it felt like she was more impactful than what the box score showed. Because the box score was like, oh yeah, she was fine, but watching the game, she felt like a star, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Like she was making clutch buckets, she was getting stops, she was first off the bench. I was like, oh, maybe she's not going to lose her spot. Like maybe she's going to be a very important piece for this team in a way that I didn't foresee. Because it seemed like when we talked about it last time, she might be the odd woman out. And I don't necessarily think that's the case after watching that game and watching the game today. Like it seems like she put in the work this offseason and will definitely have a role on this team.
Yeah, I can see that happening as well for where KB's at. In addition, we had Nalissa. Nalissa Smith ended the game with 11 points on 18 minutes, like you said, kind of filling in for the Asia spots. How was that
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
person?
it's funny because the Aces were running a lot of pick and roll early in that game, and it was very clear they were trying to feed Nalissa, and Japan just kind of went into a drop coverage where they were sitting paint. So they got away from running that pick and roll and force feeding Nalissa, and that's when the Aces took off because that was when Kennedy took over. It's when Jackie started doing her thing. It's when Chelsea started doing her thing because it was like instead of trying to force feed Melissa, let's just use our superior athletes at the guard position to beat you. That's what they did. It worked.
It all, when I was watching the game, it looked like Japan was really chucking it up from three. They're really shooting that rock.
I mean, it makes sense. Like you see it in college a lot, or you see it in NBA with teams that are tanking. There's two strategies when you know a team is better than you. One strategy is we're going to play defense and we're going to muck up the game and we're going to have as few possessions as possible and hope you make mistakes and then try to squeak one out. The other strategy is we're going to try to outmath you and we're just going to shoot a bunch of threes and hope with 3-point variance we win. Japan went with the second option of 3-point variance. Hopefully we can outmath you. And it looked good the first quarter. It was tied 30-30. Like, it was working until it didn't.
Right, and that kind of like in the third, the Aces kind of clamped down on defense. Second quarter and third quarter, they kind of clamped down on defense, only allowing 15 points in the second and 12 in the third.
Yeah.
To finally like bring them back down to earth. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, because like we saw it with the Valkyries last year. They played defense and they shot more threes than any team in WNBA history, and they grabbed the 8 seed.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
One thing though I find interesting because transitioning from we ended up winning the game against Japan. Transition to today, me and you just got done watching the Aces take on the Wings, and in that game they gave up 101 points. Not really reminiscent of the Aces team of old in terms of their defensive prowess, including giving up 35 points in the first quarter. Do you think this is just like preseasoning, or are we? Am I reacting a little too early? Basically, what I'm saying.
I feel like part of it was preseason because you saw a lot of just like we were talking about it when we were watching the game that a lot of it was like transition turnovers in the first quarter. Like they just weren't getting shots up, and then Dallas is just in transition because the Aces only had I think 3 turnovers in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dallas was hitting threes. I think they were 6 of 10 from 3 in the first half. The Aces were 4 of 12, I want to say. So, like, that's not a huge variance, but Dallas was just more efficient. The Aces just didn't look great. But I also feel like Dallas is young. They're going to look sharper right now than the Aces, who are a veteran team who, let's face it, they can use the season to get ready because they're good enough to make the playoffs, and the postseason is all that really matters to them.
This is true, and this is exactly what happened last year. Is that
Yeah.
they didn't look good early, and then figured it out late. I mean, that's what you just kind of have to do. Now, this is the first game Asia played this season because she didn't play in the first game. Asia still looked great. She had 18 points, 5 rebounds. One thing I noticed is that, and I don't know if this was on Asia or if this was on the refs, it seemed a lot of like ticky-tack fouls.
There's so many fouls. The game was unwatchable today. Like, let's just call it what it was. Like, so many fouls on both sides. Like, and they were calling flagrants and they were calling technicals, and there was a lot of stuff that felt incidental that I felt shouldn't be called, and I'm all for calling stuff down the middle. I felt like the game was called down the middle because it was happening to Dallas too. I just felt like it was stuff that shouldn't have been called.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was way too many free throws in the game in general, and like last year in the playoffs, the Aces saw terrible officiating. The
league saw terrible officiating.
Yeah, the league in general saw terrible officiating. The officiating felt terrible today, but for a completely different reason, and that the fouls were just excessive versus during the playoffs last year. It felt like they were missing very obvious calls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the announcers tried to say, but like the worst part is the announcers today were trying to say, oh, it's the preseason, the players are, fouling because they're not in the right position, blah, 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 blah. I was like, nah, I think the refs are just calling way too much.
Yeah, it never looked cohesive as we were watching the whole time. It never looked like they got it together in terms of like being able to get momentum, as opposed to like we watched as the Wings looked like they've been practicing.
Yeah.
And trying to figure this situation out together, which is what you're going to see, especially with the team. Now we already have a lot of chemistry already built in, but today we were able to see that it's not going to just be the chemistry. We're going to need the refs also a little bit on the Aces side to get things done, or at least not actively working against the Aces, which is what it felt like today.
Well, also the Aces just couldn't overcome the power of love, so there's always that.
We're not talking about that page set. So, what was something that you felt like was working today?
I felt like with the Aces today, I didn't really feel like anything worked. I felt like Chelsea looked great moving the rock. That was probably my main takeaway was she still looked like the point guard. She was hitting people while they were open. She had some pretty passes in the first half.
Bro, there was one that she did like between her legs to Jackie. Then Jackie just took it to the rim. That was crazy.
The no look behind the back.
Yeah, that was another one. She looks in mid-season form.
Yeah, like that was probably my biggest takeaway watching Asia. She got hers, but like defensively, I know the announcers are trying to say, "Oh, she's a tick slow. She's not really in regular season form." Like the foul that they called on her on the very clean block in the third quarter was crazy to me.
Yeah.
The flagrant she got when she was clearing her elbows when she hit, I think it was Alana Smith in the nose. Like Alana Smith put her face in her space. Yeah, it's not a flagrant. Keep your face off my elbow. Let's be real.
That was something that was very noticeable because I mean, let's like going back to that block, the block that was clean when she hit Jess, when she lit Jess and knocked her down, and
Yeah.
but it should have well, the block was done, the block was completed, and then they kind of both like tumbled to the ground. I don't know how that was considered still a foul, personally. But I mean, I'm no expert, but it just doesn't seem like that should be a foul called.
And I think the most frustrating part is I felt like the announcers today were not really paying attention to the game. They were just talking about other stuff. Like you weren't really getting explanations for why stuff was happening. So that doesn't really help.
Right. Right. And we were looking for explanation. And we very rarely got it. But they were talking about the announcer being playing on an older team and a bunch of others. Like there was a lot of color. There was a lot of color. There was a lot of color.
Yeah, like cool. The game is in Austin instead of Dallas, so like the University of Texas women's head coach is down there, and like the color commentary woman played at Texas and won a national title there, and they like showed she cut down the nets, and some of the other like University of Texas greats are there. Like, cool, whatever, but like, I need to know why Asia fouled this woman.
Right.
I need to know why Melissa got a technical for what seemed like incidental contact. Like, when I'm complaining about there being too many fouls in this game and I don't feel like these are fouls, I watch a lot of basketball and I understand that fouls are subjective, but if it feels like there's excessive whistles, you need to be able to explain why there's so many whistles.
Agreed. I mean, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. It was a rough go in that way. But at the end of the day, it is the preseason, and nothing from the preseason needs to be engraved in stone. Who do you think? Do you think anyone's stock, or not even stock, if anyone's if anyone helped themselves between Kennedy, KB, Melissa, Breezy, who helped themselves the most for this coming season from what you've seen in the last two games?
Definitely KB. I think she's looking great. I think we were talking about it today. I think KB might be sixth woman. Like, I think she might be first off the bench or second off the bench after Jewel, because like from watching the game today, we had the starters were Chelsea, Jackie, Asia, Stephanie, and Melissa. And then you had Jewel first off the bench. and then KB was second.
Mm-hmm.
And I think KB might actually hold that spot. Um, because with Jackie and Chelsea essentially running as lead ball handlers, you're going to have Kennedy or Dana being the third ball handler. And then you're going to need some wings, and you're going to need one more big, which is going to be either Cheyenne or Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably our rotation. That's 9. Maybe we run 10 with a few people getting a few minutes. But like KB went from 2 weeks ago, we were talking about her maybe not playing at all,
Mm-hmm.
to her probably getting significant run on the team.
Right.
She's looked really good this preseason in a way that I did not expect, because the move that set the Aces off last season, before, like, when they went on the 16-game win streak, was we're going to put KB in the starting lineup to let Jewel come off the bench. And all they really did was they put KB in at the start of the first and third quarters. So
And
she
they're like, "You
played
good?
maybe 10 minutes a game.
You good? Get on out of here. We're gonna
Yeah.
bring in Jewel."
Yeah, she played like 8 to 10 minutes a game. Like, that was it. And she might play more than that this season because of how good she has looked already.
Well, coming off both seasons of Athletes Unlimited, it has helped a ton, and I think it's given her a lot of confidence. And I know that last season she had like a lot of personal stuff going on, and now she seems, like you said, poised and ready to go.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like, it feels like a night and day difference. Like, she might make a mini leap.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening for her, because even though we're like what 4 years in or so,
Yeah.
it seems like the time.
And the worst part, I it would be great if she makes that leap, but the worst part is, if she makes that leap, we will not be able to afford her after this season.
I, we shouldn't be able to, but I mean, she might just take that hometown discount because she just loves being here.
Who knows?
It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
All right, so after being talking about the preseason, we've gone through Japan and Dallas. Let's look at the season as a whole, right? Rings are going to be coming out on Friday. Banners are going to be hanging in a couple weeks. What do you think the season looks like for the Aces? Are the Aces still the standard bearer, or has like other teams in the league caught up already?
From a talent perspective, I mean, we can talk about it. The ESPN just dropped their top 50. Aces have 2 of the 5 best players in the league, according to ESPN. Asia was number 1. Jackie was number 5. The only other team that's close, New York had Stewie at 4 and Sabrina at 6. Like, I think the Aces are one of the 2 favorites. I think when you talk about the teams, I think the Aces in New York are in a tier by themselves as far as being the favorites. I think you have another tier in Phoenix and Atlanta. Maybe Indiana belongs in that tier.
I think Indiana's in that tier as well.
And then you have another tier of like playoff teams, and like that's where I probably stick Dallas. Is that third tier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the AP and the Guardian both have the Aces at 1 as a team to beat. We swept our Phoenix got swept.
Yeah.
Phoenix also then ripped them apart. Satu left. The Aces did that single handedly. Sent Satu to New York. New York knew they needed to reload. So Phoenix is not necessarily the problem we're looking at. As we talked about, New York is in a tier of their own. We can't just win games. The Aces winning games is not enough. Is this a championship or bust team? Or what makes this a successful season for the Aces?
I think anything short of a finals trip is kind of viewed as a failure for the Aces, which is
Crazy.
a high bar.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but like the level of talent they have on their team, it's just kind of where they are. Like I just said, them in New York, when you look at their rosters, are at a tier by themselves, where you kind of expect them to be top two seeds when the season ends. Because if we're looking at them with Fee missing the first month of the season,
Yeah.
and with Minnesota losing some talent, like they're probably in that third tier of playoff teams where they're fighting for that 6, 7, 8 seed.
Well, I mean, Alana Smith and Jess Shepard look great in Dallas, and they
Yeah,
were wearing Lynx uniforms last year.
exactly.
So that doesn't help their case for the Lynx.
Yes. I mean, like, I think Minnesota makes the playoffs, but I don't think I think they're 6, 7, 8 range. I think Dallas is in that 6, 7, 8 range. Golden State's going to be fighting for a playoff spot. I think the Sparks are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Like, I'm looking at the teams right now. I think you have 4 teams fighting for 3 spots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the playoffs is also harder because there's only 8 teams in, and we've added 2 more teams to the dance.
Yeah. And Portland, or sorry, Toronto wasn't, or no, Portland wasn't trying to make the playoffs. Portland played the long game. They went and got a bunch of international players who may not necessarily play this year. Like, they're whatever. Toronto is actively trying to make the playoffs in the way that Golden State did last year. Who knows if that works? Like, they went and hired Sandy Brondello. They're trying to make the playoffs right now.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true. And they're trying to build a team that looks like that too by bringing in Marina and Slim, Brittany Sykes.
Yeah.
It looks like they're trying to build a contender.
Yes.
The Valkyries, they brought in Gabby Williams. They're not sleeping either. I can see what you're saying in terms of teams that are trying to make a run. But
because you also have, not to cut you off, the Mystics had 2 rookie all-stars last year, and they had a bunch of draft picks. I think they're just a year too early, but if they have a couple of those draft picks hit, they also might be fighting for a playoff spot.
yeah, I mean the Mystics is they remind me of the Pistons from a couple years ago, where they were just young. The Pistons or the Thunder, both teams, just a bunch of young guys that are just like getting their sea legs around them, and that's kind of what you have going on in Washington with Sonia Citron, with Kiki Irvin, with Georgia Amore now playing in her first season and like already kind of running the team. And then you add in Lauren Betts, you keep Shakira Austin. Shakira Austin's the vet, and she's been there for like 5 years. That's it's a team like the Pistons or the Thunder. The Pistons, remember when the Pistons had that historic losing streak?
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago.
That was it. I was about to say. It was like 2 seasons ago. They had a historic losing streak because they were just young.
Yeah.
And now they're the number 1 seed in the East. Just came back from a 3-1 deficit to win that series and move on to the next round. I mean,
they just came back from a 3-1 deficit, and Pablo Banchero is now saying that he doesn't know if the Magic can exist in their current form. He just ruined, they ruined Pablo's confidence.
It broke him. It broke him. So when you see the Mystics, you see something like that. The Aces continue to still, I think, be the standard bearer, but there are teams that are trying to get ready. But one thing that we have, our biggest strength, is that we have Asia, obviously.
Yes.
Having the best player in the world is the cheat code. And in addition, you have people that want to play with her and keep playing with her, at least for another season, in Jackie, Chelsea, and Jewel. With like we talked about the other day, Jewel and Chelsea signing 3-year deals to do it.
Yeah, I think the Aces in their current form, if they keep this core together, we probably have about a 2 to 3 more year window of we're championship or bust because we're on the right side of the aging curve where all of our players are still in their prime or will be in the tail end of their prime before you start looking at like the league has caught up and it's not championship or bust. But right now, I think it's anything short of the finals is probably viewed as a disappointment.
Agreed. And also using Becky's system and being able to play with guards that like to go downhill. We had that in KP. We lost that when she left. The Aces
Yep.
were then able to really figure that out with Dana and with Kennedy. Do you think that they solved their rim pressure issue from last year?
I felt like they really struggled in the first half of last season to get downhill because a lot of what KP did was get downhill and then she dumped to Asia if somebody came at her,
Yeah.
which really helped. And as Dana got more usage in the back half of the season, it did help create offense for them. Um, it also helped, as I think we talked about last time, Jewel figured out her spot. Because as we talked about, Jewel was used to shooting above the break and having the ball in her hand, and she had to learn how to play off ball. And now she knows how to play off ball, and she's figured out how to get hers in a different way than she did in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, we figured out our rim pressure issue because they figured out a different way how to get to the rim, and now you've brought back the original way of how they got to the rim, which is going to make them better.
Agreed. Agreed. Another thing that was interesting to me with this team, this Aces team versus last year's Aces team, or even the year before's Aces team, is that when they do get downhill, it's able to open up shooters. Adding Asia as a shooter, adding Stephanie Talbot, another shooter, Jewel, like we talked about, now that she's definitely found her spot. Kennedy definitely opens that up for them as well because, like we talked about, Kennedy's shot is not fantastic, but getting others open is going to be something that can really work for the Aces.
Yeah, there was a lot more. I don't know if you noticed it today, but it felt like there was a lot more drive and kick in their game
Yeah,
today and in the Japan game than there was last season. And it's because there wasn't a lot of people getting downhill last season. And you need that drive and kick. You need Asia working the post, drawing the double team, and kicking back out. Like, as much as we love the Asia midi game, sometimes Asia needs to kick it out so that, hits the person who's open for three. She gets double teamed a lot.
yeah, yeah. And Melissa helps a lot to pull from the double in a
Yeah.
way that Kia wasn't really able to. But having Breezy there, having Melissa down there, it's going to help open that up for her to be able to not get doubled.
Yeah.
Now, when we were talking about the rotation, there's some people that are just not going to make it. I think, right, in terms of like play. Becky seems to be good about keeping one or two women not really playing that much. I thought the rotation was going to be something of like Asia, Cheyenne, Stephanie Talbot, Jackie, Chelsea starting. First off the bench, Jewel. Second off the bench was going to be Kennedy. Third off the bench was going to be Dana. Fourth off the bench was going to be like Nalissa or something of that nature. Nalissa first big off the bench. I thought it was going to be something of that nature, but I feel like we're seeing a little bit something different. I'm not. I don't feel like we've seen a lot of Cheyenne yet.
I After watching these first two games, I almost think that Stephanie might be used as a tweener big. Like she's going to be that 3-4, and KB is going to be a 3-4, and they're just going to use Asia more as a center this year, and they're going to use Nalissa as a center more this year, and then maybe we see Cheyenne or Brianna Turner in like short stints.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to see like much of either of them this year, and I think the Aces are going to run small and fast.
So do you think Kennedy's the first guard off the bench?
That I don't know. That until we see Dana Evans play, I don't know if it's Kennedy or Dana, because I'm not going to lie, watching the first two games, Kennedy was getting lost on defense a lot. And that does worry me, because Becky cares about defense
A lot.
a lot. And like there was one possession we were watching right before they went into halftime, where there was a switch and then Kennedy missed the switch and then she was just standing in the paint trying to figure out who to cover. And then there was a foul and then they reset. But I was like, I said it to you. I was like, she's like definitely lost on defense, doesn't know who to cover.
Mm-hmm. 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 You could tell. You could tell.
Yeah. And part of that might be that she's only been on the team a couple of weeks and she doesn't have the rotations down, because every team has different rotations. But you could see it right now that she's still figuring it out on defense.
One thing I thought was interesting was that Janiyah Barker didn't get in the game today.
She's still in concussion protocol after the last game.
Is she?
Yeah, so at the end of the last game, she took like a knee to the head, and they put her in concussion protocol. And they announced about 2 hours before the game today she's still in the concussion protocol, which is why she did not get in.
That makes a lot of sense then, because I was wondering, is that going to be a problem for the rotation? Because I saw that Jordan Opie played like 3 minutes today. But if Janiyah Barker's still in concussion protocol, I think that's going to end up being fine. I do think what ends up happening is that both rookies end up on the developmental spots, and the Aces probably sign somebody like Tina Charles or what's her name they used to play on Dallas, Kalani Brown.
Yeah,
Another big.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went after another big. Tina Charles makes a lot of sense because it seems like the Aces like to go after an experienced vet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Tina Charles, for like signing for the vet minimum to hang out, play a little bit, I wouldn't be shocked.
Championship might be interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the other front court player that closes games with Asia? Do you think it's Nalissa? Do you think it's Cheyenne?
It's funny because, like, if it's the Kia Stokes, I need one stop, it might be Brianna Turner. If it's I need to finish the game and we're talking about 2 or 3 minutes, I think it's Nalissa. After watching the first 2 games, I kind of don't know where Cheyenne fits, because it doesn't seem like Becky knows where she wants to stick her in the rotation yet.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing. It didn't seem like Cheyenne had etched out minutes yet.
Yeah.
And that was something I thought was interesting, because I thought Cheyenne was going to be a big piece here. But I don't know if she is just yet.
It's hard because the Aces legitimately could go 10 deep with their team right now.
Yeah.
But when you have 2 of the 5 best players in the world, you don't want to go 10 deep because you want them to play 36 of the 40 minutes. So there's just not a lot of minutes for other people.
True. So looking at the training camp roster, we came in with 13. The Aces are going to probably cut down, I think, to 11 and sign someone like we just talked about, with those other 2 ending up on developmental spots. The people that were on non-guaranteed contracts were Brianna Turner, Kennedy Carter, Kirsten Bell, and there's a 4th one. Kennedy, Kirsten. Nalissa is protected.
She was protected. She's on a guaranteed deal.
And Cheyenne. So With
Yeah.
the four of them being on non-guaranteed contracts, do you foresee any of them not making the roster?
I couldn't see the Aces moving any of the vets. I think one of two things happen. I think either number one, they keep Janaya on the active roster and they only put Jordan Obi in a developmental spot, or they put both of them on the developmental spots and then they sign a 12th. But if they really want to keep Janaya Barker, they would probably put her on the active roster, and then she just doesn't play much this year.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I can see that
Because
because
if you're,
on the training camp roster, you can only play 12 games at
yeah,
most. And then that gives them the way they've been utilizing Janaya in that first game. There's a good chance that you're correct because they might want to use her for 12, more than 12 games. Also, Asia seems to be rocking with her pretty hard, and Asia that she found a rookie, and that helps a lot.
yeah, if Asia likes her, she has a much better chance of staying, which that's always good. And like anytime you get a rookie that comes in with Alyssa Thomas comps, like I would love for the Aces to keep her around for a little bit and let's just see what she can do.
Mm-hmm. That I do agree with. Around the league, CJ, other teams had a lot of people coming into
Yes.
training camp. The Aces did not. The Sparks didn't, but a lot of other teams did. In New York, they've already cut down some of their roster by waiving Sarah Pryor, Ashley Owasu, Anika Saltau. Do you think the Liberty are finding exactly who they need?
I think the Liberty had who they needed before, and they just wanted to give their starters a break in before the season started.
Sabrina today went down with an ankle injury. They don't know how long it's going to be, if she's going to miss any time. I was watching the game. She immediately clutched her ankle when she hit the deck.
Which is not good because without Natasha Cloud, I don't know who runs the show. Because
That's a
she was
good point.
supposed to be their full time point guard this year.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who's going to end up being the person to run the point. They'll have Marine to be able to come off the bench. They'll still have Stewie as the point forward. Benijah Lady Hamilton will be out there, but if Stewie misses time, I don't know what that looks like for them.
Yeah, from looking at their roster right now,
They also have
maybe
Beck
maybe
Allen.
maybe maybe Marine Johannes, but
Yeah,
she's more of a shooter than a point guard.
true. Rebecca Gardner is another option. Rebecca Gardner was out there playing
Yeah,
some meaningful minutes. I think she makes the roster. Um, I think that's going to be an interesting breakdown and decision on how that goes if she were to miss time.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe Rebecca, like you said, maybe Rebecca Allen, maybe Marine, maybe Stewie just runs the offense from the post.
Yeah, point
It's
forward
funny
type situation.
because it's funny. Like as we talked about last time with Chris DeMarco taking over for them, I expected them to bring in a very Golden State like offense where Sabrina was going to be used in a Steph Curry capacity. But if she were to be used in a Steph Curry capacity, one of the things that the Warriors do really well is they move the ball, and it's actually Draymond Green that runs the offense.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily need a lead guard. Anyone can anyone can bring the ball up. You just need somebody to bring the ball up. And then you can run the offense from
And
wherever.
initiate the offense from there.
Yeah. Hell,
Um,
Jonquel Jones could bring the ball up.
yeah, but it'll probably be Stewie if
Yeah.
Sabrina misses time. The Fever is another team that didn't bring a ton of people into training camp. They had 16. They got to go down to 12 plus 2, basically. One thing I thought was interesting is that they've been running a starting lineup with Sophie Cunningham at the 3. And having, I guess, maybe Lexi Hall come off the bench. I'm surprised by that.
I feel like that was probably the plan last year, but Sophie missed a lot of games. Because if you remember, Sophie and Caitlin missed probably 2/3 of the season, if not more. Caitlin only played 13 games last year.
Yeah.
Sophie played, I think, 20. She didn't play that many games last year either. So by the time they hit the playoffs, it was the Kelsey Mitchell show. Kelsey
Right.
and Leah Boston.
AB. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the plan, was for Sophie to be the starter, and now they get to execute it. But they're going to be small. They're
Yeah.
going to be very small.
They're missing a lot of size. I mean, Maisha Hines Allen is one of their bigs, along with Monique Billings, and they're not huge comparatively.
Yeah.
And so they are going to be a small group. I mean, Maisha Hines is 6'2", and Michaela Timpson's another one of their bigs. She's 6'2". Mo Billings is, I'm looking here, she's 6'4", and she's the biggest one on their team.
Aaliyah Boston 6'5".
And so, who's coming off the bench to help relieve them?
Yeah.
Because they started a starting 5, from what I believe, if I remember the graphic correctly. It was AB, Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin, Monique Billings, and Sophie Cunningham.
I mean, Lexi Hole is only, I think she's 6 foot even, but
6'2".
she plays like she's 6'2". She plays like she's 6'6", though, because she is everywhere.
She'd be everywhere, man.
So I mean, like, we don't really have to worry about size because she is a hustle player.
Right. And so that's, I mean, for the Fever, they look like they're building something there. Today we just watched the Wings. The Wings have 1 million people. They brought 1 million people into camp. They brought like 22 people into camp. Arike just got back from wherever she was playing.
Yeah.
They brought back Odyssey Sims, who is quick and is a menace. Like we already talked about, Alana Smith looked great. Jess Shepard looked great. JJ Quinley.
As we were sitting watching the game, I told you, every time I see Maddie Seacrest, I was like, I forget how good she is. And then I watch her play, I'm like, oh yeah, she's really good.
Yep. Maddie looked great in season 3 years in. Leah Rue got a little bit of run. AC looked like AC always. Playing defense, shooting threes, being nice out there. The Wings, do you think the Wings are anything that we need to be worried about?
I think they're probably a year away from stepping up to the next tier. I think they're definitely in the mix to be a playoff team. I just think Paige is a little young. I think that they're probably going to need to rely on Ozzy, and she's not ready yet. I don't know. Like, they have good players because, like, Arike is a menace.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're...
It is, well, as long as AZ Fudd's shot is coming together, that's going to be something they're looking for. Today, it looked a little off.
Her shot is pretty, but it's not always falling in. So, like, here's the thing. When I look at the Wings, it's Paige and Arike. But when I look at Odyssey Sims, and I look at Alana Smith, and I look at Ozzy, and I look at their team as a whole, I feel like they have a lot of very good role players, but I don't feel like they necessarily have a third banana yet.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And until they have that third banana, I'm not ready to pencil them in as a playoff lock.
That I can see, especially with there only being 8 spots. Um, it might be a little early for them, even though they had 2 number 1 picks in Page and AZ.
Yeah. If AZ is that third banana this year, yes, they're making the playoffs. And we probably should be worried about them. I just don't know if we're going to be worried about them this year because AZ might not even be rookie of the year.
Right. Right. The rookie of the year is kind of up in the air. In fact, let's talk about the predictions, okay? Let's transition. Let's talk about predictions. Who do you think is going to win MVP?
I'm going to pick Asia until the cows come home.
Same, same. Who do you think is going to be defensive player of the year?
I'm going to pick Asia until the cows come home.
I'm going to pick Dominique Malonga. I think there's a good chance for her with her length and her strength that Dom could be the defensive player of the year.
I would say check back with me in 2 more years because she's still really young and she's still figuring it out.
Fair.
Like the notice we haven't talked about Seattle yet. The reason why we haven't talked about Seattle yet is because they just lost all of their vets. And they just Dominique is 20 now, and they just drafted what's her name, Awa Pham,
Yeah.
who is also very long.
Yeah.
They are going to be very scary.
And they have Ezzy McMagor already.
Yeah, they're going to be very scary, but I'm not scared of them yet. I think they're going to be very annoying this year, but I'm not scared of them. Check back in 2 years, I'm going to be very scared of them. If they pan out.
Fair. I can see that. Who do you think is going to be rookie of the year?
If I had to pick right now, I'd probably pick Lauren Betts.
Okay.
Who do you think?
I think if I don't know that Lauren's going to play enough minutes. They said that she's going to be coming in behind Shakira Austin. Now I don't know if that's true. That could have just been conjecture. But
Yeah.
I think Olivia Miles has a chance, but I also think the real dark horse for this is Flau'jae. Flau'jae is going to end up starting in Seattle next to Natisha Heidemann. And I think that there's a good chance that she is the rookie of the year.
I forgot about Olivia Miles. She's my pick because she went to Minnesota. She's going to start. Fee is going to help her a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's actually my pick because she doesn't necessarily need to score. She just needs to set people up.
True. What do you think the Aces regular season record will be?
I wouldn't be surprised if they have the same record as last year and finish 30-14.
Okay. I think we could win some more games than that, right? So I think the Aces are going to finish probably about 34-10.
That's 34-10 is coming up on that's pretty close to best record ever territory. And granted, there's more games, but you're talking about WNBA record.
Becky said that this is the best roster she has had. I trust Becky.
I agree with her.
And so I think they figure it out. When the Aces had that phenomenal record and that streak that they had a couple years ago, it was because everything was clicking. They were playing defense, and then that offense was just popping with KP. Kelsey Plum just getting downhill and getting things done. If you add in Dana with another year, if you add in Kennedy Carter, I think we have a lot of those same elements. So the Aces can then look a lot similar.
The reason why I'm not that sold on it, and I still think they're going to be a top 2 or 3 seed, is I haven't seen the 3-point shot start falling yet for the team. They've had 2 bad 3-point shooting games, and until I see them have a couple of consistent 3-point shooting games, I'm not ready to anoint them, if that
Fair.
makes sense.
I also do agree with you. I think they finished as a 2 seed. I think New York ends up finishing as the 1 seed. I
Yes.
think the Aces finish as one in the West, but I don't think that matters when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, especially because they don't segregate it, so it's just top eight. But learning that Sabrina got hurt today, that may mess up New York more than we know, especially if she's out for a while.
Yeah. Who do you think is the biggest breakout player for the Aces this season?
Probably Melissa.
Okay.
I think a full year with the team in the system. I don't think she makes an all-star team or anything like that, but I think that she kind of figures out who she is with the team.
Fair. I think it's going to be KB. I think this is going to be a KB type year where KB really just comes into her own. Who's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern this year, I hate to say it, um, it's Chelsea Gray, and it's not because I'm worried about her per se, but I'm worried about her on the age curve.
Okay.
Like you never know when Father Time is going to catch up with you.
Mm-hmm.
And Chelsea is 33. Like it's not that she's old, but it you can get old fast, and especially with guards, like she doesn't rely on athleticism and quickness to get by, but like d- defense can be a problem very quickly for her if she loses half a step.
Right.
She's crafty. She will always be good offensively because she has the best court vision of anybody in the WNBA.
Hell, in the NBA.
But if defense becomes a problem, hmm, outside of that, the only other person I'm worried for is Kennedy because she like if she's not scoring, who knows?
Fair. For me,
Yeah,
my biggest concern is Dana and how long this injury is going to take to rehab. I don't think it's going to be long, but the Aces can really use Dana out there.
yeah. I believe they said it was a calf injury and they expected her to be ready for opening day, but you never know with calf injuries.
Right. So we should see her on Friday,
Saturday.
on Saturday, yes.
Yeah.
May 9th. That actually leads us to our what's coming up on the horizon. I wanted to make sure we put this on wax, by the way, on who we thought was going to be there, so that way one of us could say we knew all along, the other one could just lie and say, "Yeah, I knew also," even though this is on recorded history.
Burn the tapes.
Like you said, though, ring night is May 9th. They're playing the Mercury, which is kind of crazy to have to like give rings in front of the team you swept.
Well, they want them to see how big the rings are.
I mean, it did happen where like the Aces had to go and get the rings, watch New York get the rings in front of them after the Aces didn't make the playoffs. I mean the finals.
Yeah, because they wanted them to see how big the rings were.
What are some things that we need to watch for? Do you think in that season opener?
I think we need to see what the rotation looks like. I think we're going to see very early what our real rotation for the season looks like. I don't expect Becky to be tinkering with the rotation against Phoenix. I think if she's tinkering with the rotation, it's going to be against teams that she expects to blow out. But I think this first game, she's going to be trying to get off on the right foot. I wouldn't be surprised if she just runs with 8 people.
I can see that as well. I can see it being a pared down roster. Um, I can also see that. I can also see Becky really just trying to, like you said, fine tune what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ultimately, the preseason wasn't as an appetizer. CJ, Friday the rings come out. It's going to be real electric in there. Have you been there during a ring ceremony?
No, only the banner. I've been there
The
for the
banner.
banners.
Yes. The ring ceremony day is a real exciting thing. It's actually real crazy that we are even having this kind of conversation saying, oh, yeah, I love when you get the rings. Did you see the rings? I was there a couple times when they got the rings. Can't wait for this third time. it's, we're in good shape that we get to see this team play
It's
every
funny because
game.
you take it for granted how good they are, but as someone who grew up a Warriors fan in the 90s when they were very bad, don't take this for granted.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that we have the best player in the world, possibly the best player ever, and so I'm very happy that we get to see her playing in Asia, and we get to be a part of this ride along with everybody else.
Yeah, having season tickets to a bad team and go like I'll never forget being in high school as a season ticket holder for the Warriors, and we had a big celebration at one of the games because the Warriors hit 30 and 30. We got back to 500, and it was the latest in the season we had been at 500. We hit 30 and 30. You know what we finished the season? 34 and 48.
Oh man. Well, CJ and y'all, we're gonna go get up. We're gonna get on up out of here. Appreciate you guys for tapping into the Aces Era podcast. We'll be back next week after the ring ceremony, and again on Sunday after the away game. I believe the Aces are playing the Sparks. You can find us everywhere at Aces Era Podcast. And make sure you like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend, tell an Aces fan, tell everyone to watch the Aces Era podcast or to listen to it anywhere where you could find a podcast. Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that has podcasts, we're on that feed. I'm Kevin. That's CJ. We'll catch y'all next time. We out.
Peace.
Bye.